first off, hats off to North Florida. They played really well. They're a really experienced team. I knew it was going to be a tough game. They shot it really well tonight. They haven't shot the ball well all year, but they shot it well tonight. And when we didn't guard great, but they made. And so it was a tough game for us. I felt like we were a little depleted, but we also didn't have great legs for whatever reason. It might have been the trip. But we just didn't quite have it, but we hung in there enough to win the game.
What do you know about your team after 4 games? Is it too soon?
I know we're beat up. I mean, you know, I think we have good resiliency. We have good leadership. Like about everything that could go wrong went wrong, and we still hung in there. I thought Day, didn't shoot the ball particularly well in the first half, but rallied himself and shot the ball and kept us in it in the second half. I thought Brewer, and rightfully so, didn't really have it tonight. He struggled, but he made the game winner. Dixon did some good things, but he did some inexperienced things. So, I think that's the biggest difference is when Reese and RJ play, that makes you older. And the more you can be old, the better you are. And, we had to play young tonight at times, which is not usually a good thing. But our young guys did a good job. But there's a reason guys are old.
When do you expect those 2 guys back? Indefinite?
It's a little too early to tell. So we still have some imaging we got to do on a couple. So it's a little early.
With where you're at now, Keith, how much have you tinkered with things? Have you limited maybe some of the pressure that maybe you would otherwise to keep the legs fresh? What adjustments have you maybe made because of this?
We haven't had any time to tinker with anything, Zach. Like, we played what, Monday, then we played Friday, and then we played Monday again, and we're gonna play Wednesday again. So that's the first zone we've seen. So we struggled early with that, and then we were fine after a minute. They only played about 6 possessions of zone all year. We prepped for it, but I really didn't expect the whole game of it. So we really haven't tinkered much. I mean, those are the kind of games you have to win in a season. To have a good season, you have to win some games when you're not great. But again, I thought they played really well. We weren't great, but they played really well. We have to play better defensively than that.
I was going to ask you, was their shooting, or was it your defense that let them shoot around 60%?
Well, obviously it's a combination of both. I mean, they made some, but we made a lot of mistakes. And then Trey Clark had foul trouble, which didn't help us either. Which he's got to stay away a little bit from like those little reaches. It's hard because he's one of the best stealers in the country. So you don't want to take it away from him, but I told him, look, steal any pass you want, but lay off the dribble a little bit. He had 4 steals again tonight, and if you look at his numbers when he was at VCU, he stole the ball like a crazy man.
You only had 6 turnovers tonight?
As a team?
It says here, yeah.
Yeah, 22 assists, so we've done a really good job of sharing the ball.
You seem to pass it around a lot.
Yeah, they care, they do a good job. I mean, we just had to play better defensively. We should have lost the game really, but we hung in there enough to win the game.
Keith, amplifying what Jerry was just talking about, how you were moving the ball. These guys that were in here before you were talking about how you were instructing them, hey, look, the ball fakes are going to work tonight. You can get them moving to create some space for yourself. When Zach was asking you about tinkering with stuff, is that an encouraging point that they can take a fine point of coaching like that, apply it, listen to it, analyze it, synthesize it, and have it manifest in a game, even though it's such a quick turnaround?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we weren't happy after Kentucky. We didn't think we shared the ball well, and we took some bad shots. So we really hit them hard on that, and I think ever since then we've done a really good job. Now, we took a couple long threes, I thought, in the first half, but you also have to look at that a little bit too. So that's Day Grant shooting most of them. So do you tell him not to shoot them? I mean, he's shooting. I think he was shooting over 50% from the 3 line, right? So you don't want to take that away from him necessarily either. So they've done a good job of listening and trying to get better.
Keith, in the first half, you called a timeout. You guys got consecutive defensive stops and easy baskets. What were you saying to them to maybe refocus or focus their energy in a more positive light?
Just try to stop the run, really. Like, I don't really remember what I said. I probably wasn't very nice. So, beep, beep, beep. Bleep, bleep, bleep.
Did you get a little something out of Clark and Ronsky moving the ball from the 4 position that you were talking about as to why they would have been good options back when Trey was not available for Montana? Is that what you were talking about?
Well, I mean, you mean Tevin wasn't available
Sorry,
for Montana?
Tevin, yeah.
So, you know, we've had to move those guys around because we've had issues. You know, we played them at the point, and tonight we played Horonsky at the 4 some because we just don't have anybody. So it's a little bit hard. I mean, we played Trey Williams a lot of minutes tonight because we don't really have another 4-man. So it's not ideal. That's one reason you don't play great defensively. You're playing a little tired. And then Day Grant had to play too many minutes because Clark was in foul trouble. And we played from behind most of the night too, so it's a combination of factors.
I know you expect perfection, but you have 2 guys injured, another guy not playing, 7 new names when you're scoring. Is it tough? Do you have to expect growth pains in a situation like that?
We actually had 3 guys hurt and 1 suspended. You know, Barre's hurt as well.
Okay.
So, you know, we went into this thing with 7 bigs. We have 3 right now. So, I mean, obviously it's going to affect you. I mean, but we still have enough to win there. We still have good players in those spots. And the good thing is Dixon got to play. So down the line, that's going to help him become a better player. He's a good talent. You just got to get a little bit, you know, just more mature and a little more solid.
Coach, do you feel like Dixon has grown since that first game against Montana? Because to me, he seemed more comfortable, more confident out there today, and it certainly showed on the stat sheet.
He's a talented guy, man. Like he can run and jump and he shoots the ball. He just has to figure it all out. You know, like it's this level is all new to him. But he was recruited at a high level before he tore his ACL. So he certainly is a high major talent, right? Athletically, he's gifted. He just has to figure this out. And the more he plays, the more he'll figure it out. Or I'll, you know.
Who was recruiting him?
Well, I mean, he was recruited out of high school. He was offered by Ole Miss and all of those. He probably had 15 high majors out of high school before he tore his ACL, and then they kind of dumped him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you, this is probably an obvious answer, do you like this team more than your previous last few years?
I try to like all my teams, but I like this team. I like their resiliency. I like their leadership. You know, like Kareem Rozier says to me after the game, he said, "That's my bad. We didn't practice well, and that's all on me." Like, you don't get that very often. But that's the kind of leader he is. And I think they get along, I think, which always helps you win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you don't get along, eventually you're going to lose some of those close games.
Keith, with Barre, just how close is he, and when or if he is coming back in some proximity, how would that affect his placement in a potential rotation?
Well, as soon as he can come back without those other 2 guys, he'd play. He'd probably play a little bigger, you know, because basically he's a center. Like, we want to move Dixon to the 4 spot, but we're trying to keep it simple for him. And until we get healthier, then there's no sense in moving him. And I think the bigger we can play, the better we're going to be. Because we're playing those 3 perimeter guys that are relatively small.
Coach, the last 2 teams you played, Colgate and North Florida, both have a lot of 4th and 5th year seniors, a lot of experience, and they're in 2 different ways. Colgate came back from 2 double-digit leads. This team was leading throughout and kept shooting the ball well. What do you think? How do you feel about how your team has responded the past few days when it comes to adversity and things not going their way and not sort of buckling?
I think they've done a good job, really. I mean, they could have buckled. You know, they had us on the ropes a couple times, more than a couple. Colgate came all the way back, you know, on the first round, and we got it back up to 15. I think the one thing we do is we have enough pop, you know, shooting the ball to come back. And, you know, I don't know what we shot tonight from three, not as good, right? 35%, but that's about as bad as we've shot from the 3 line, but they ran us off the 3 line pretty good. But 35 is better than we shot probably since I've been here. But that's a little low. We've been shooting about what, 38-6 or something like that before. So I like our resiliency. I think we just have to learn. We have to get better at the little nuances.
Encouraged by what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I like our team. I mean, I'd be more encouraged if we got a little healthier, because then we can play a little faster. We can play a little bit more full court pressure. You know, we can utilize our depth. I felt like it was even depth-wise today, right? I didn't think we had any advantage, because they, like you said, they're old too. But we were really old. Like, we got some of our older guys hurt, so, you know, I just think that has affected us a little bit. But no excuses. We have enough to win with what we have in the room. And that's, remember I told you there were 3 things I tried to do recruiting-wise. 1, have enough depth to withstand injuries. 2 was improve our passing and shooting, right? And 3 was get older in the backcourt. So we're getting tested on the depth right now, but I think, you know, most people that had as many of our guys out as we did would have issues. But we at least held our own.
Despite the injuries you have in the front court, you still got 17 offensive rebounds tonight. And that's, even last year, despite all the struggles, that was a definite strength that you had. Is that something you guys preach in practice, that you really want to get a bunch of offensive rebounds, or is that just how it works when you have Rotroff and Trey Williams?
Rotroff's become a really good offensive rebounder. Like, he just stands under there and wedges out. And, I mean, his rebounds per minute have been unbelievable this year. Like, he got 5 more tonight. Like, you gotta hand it to the guy. The last 2 years, he's done an unbelievable job. And you know, when you go inside, you have a chance to get those offensive rebounds too. So we've done a good job on the offensive glass. I don't think that's an issue for us. I think there's some other things that are more telling issues. Do we stress it? I think you can say that as a coach, but in reality, you just have some guys that are good at it. It's like Dennis Rodman. You think, I don't think Chuck Daly, you know, told Dennis, look, you taught him the technique of offensive rebound, and he just went and got them all. You know, and I think that's kind of what Rotroff's doing right now. I mean, you get 5, that's a lot.
Are you gonna play him more as he gets healthier, or is he 100% now?
No, he's still, you know, he didn't start practicing until September the 7th. So we have to be careful with him. He had a tough injury, you know, the surgery. So he played what did he play tonight?
18 and a half.
18 and a half. You know, he's going to play 20, 22. Depending on our injury situation, he'll have to play a little more. But I don't think he's in that type of condition to play much more than that right now. But he's done a really good job. He should be really proud with all the things that he's been through. His perseverance is second to none.
He had foot surgery, right?
He had foot surgery, he had the ACL before that. You know, he's had a lot of different things. So I'm proud of him. He's great for our team.
Coach, on that very last play, did it cross your mind to call a timeout there, or once Dede got the ball in his hands, did you just feel like he was in a good position to make a play?
Just felt like, you know, look, we got good guards. You know, if you call timeout, you don't know if you're getting zone, you're getting man. You know, I just felt like on the run we were better off. And we've done that the last couple of years. Just have 2 old guards, 3 really with Trey Clark, so why not? They're gonna make the right play. Obviously when you get 22 assists, they're gonna try to make the right play. Now, I liked what he did. He took that little runner close. It was a pretty easy shot. Tough shot, but easy shot for him.
Is that it?
Any update on Easley when he might be back?
Not really. He'll be back, but Not for a minute.
Indefinite suspension then, at this point?
Yes.
One more question, just
You
looking
can
at.
ask as many as you want.
Thank you. Looking at Trey Williams, he's gone from playing exclusively at 5 last year, now playing primarily at 4 this year. He doesn't really stretch the floor, so that can create some potential issues with Rotroff and Dixon. How do you feel about how he's played and sort of his transition offensively and defensively at that position?
I think he's played pretty good defensively overall. You know, for never having to done it, he's never done it his whole college career. He's guarded in the post. I will say it's probably affected his shot blocking because he's not around the rim as much, and he's running around more. But I think he's got a big advantage offensively with a smaller 4-man on him than a big monstrous 5-man. And so we tried to utilize that a little bit. So I think he's done a good job. I do think, you know, the mix of, you know, RJ and Easley with him is a good mix because those guys are more stretch out guys. So, you know, I think like tonight, like RJ being out there against the zone would have really helped us because we would have been able to shoot it at 4 spots. Whereas we had to go pretty much shooting it at 3 spots. So I think that affected us a little bit. But that's what you have to do, right? You have to adjust. Dixon can shoot the ball too. He hasn't yet. It might take him a year. But I think eventually he'll be able to stretch out and shoot it.
Is it a part of the overall plan when it comes to just taking a lot of good shots this year? It just doesn't feel like there hasn't been any forces, even from Grant when he's on a roll. You rarely see him take any kind of contested shots that you probably wouldn't like. It's obviously with the assist rate high up there, but also just the good shot selection. Is that something you're happy overall on the offensive end with them?
Yeah, I mean, look, Day got on a roll, right? And he still has 6 assists. You know, so that's a tribute to him. But I think part of it is the point guard. You know, we have 2 point guards that are going to pass the ball. You know, Rozier, I think, is 9-1 assist to turnover, and Tevin Brewer is, I think he came in, at 12-3 or something coming in, I think, so he's 15-5.
12-3.
Like, if your point guards are gonna do that, you have a chance, because that rubs off on everybody else. So, like, even against the zone, we just had to play, like, there wasn't any structure to it, we were just playing. And that's kind of how we played offensively most of the year. There's a little structure, but not much, we're just playing, you know, and I think the best teams just play.
Your next opponent, Alabama State, on Wednesday, they actually led Pitt at halftime yesterday, and they've seemingly been improving every game. Is that team that you're hopeful that you'll come out with the right energy and not sort of sleepwalk on them? Is that potential concern after tonight's game, or you think you'll have their full attention for Wednesday?
So I haven't watched them because I always go one game at a time. So I don't know anything about them really, other than I know the coach's son is a good player. And also he was a good coach at South Carolina State. So I would expect that they will improve. Look, it's going to be hard for us. We just have to keep grinding and winning. It doesn't really matter who we play. We just have to do the same things every night. So will we be better if we take good care of ourselves tonight, and then we'll bring them in tomorrow afternoon and probably not do too much, but just try to regenerate a little bit, and then try to get ready for Wednesday. And then after that, we get a little time, which will be important for us. So we just have to keep winning. But I expect it'll be a hard game. You know, like, things have changed quickly for us. So, like, you know, we're going to have to grind it out the hard way right now. But I still think we should win. Like, we're good enough to win with what we have.